Okay, we are getting there. This is my first time trying to manage a StreamYard workshop. So please bear with me.
Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect.
Let me add Jen in. Hi, Jen. You're on the stage. I'm not sure if we are streaming. Let me quickly check that. It says the video is disabled. Okay, we are live on YouTube. The video is disabled on the website. But
Got some feedback going there.
let's see if this works. Okay, great. Do we have people live here? Okay, good. Let's see if this works.
So you're going to need to turn off the sound feedback from YouTube because it's just going to feed back with a couple seconds delay.
Why did we are missing Dr. Zhang and Nyandoro Alpha? Okay.
I'm here.
I'm not able to hear you.
Oh,
Can you hear me?
Here, okay, let's see.
I hear everyone.
Okay. You can hear me?
So welcome everyone to the Web3 cybersecurity workshop at Intellect Horizon. I have 3 awesome speakers here with me, and they are going to guide you through cybersecurity, AI, how Web3 security ties into it, and how AI affects cybersecurity and how it can be used to fight for the good side. And finally, we'll have a fireside chat with everyone. I will step off the stage and hand it over to the first speaker.
All right. Rohit. Okay, so I'm going to need to share screen here.
Am I the first speaker?
No, I think I'm going first. Because I have a talk at 11, so I kind of have to.
yeah.
But I need to be able to present slides from my computer.
So you're gonna use the present and then share screen. Is that where it comes from? I want to make sure I have it right.
Yeah,
too.
I'm figuring out.
Okay.
Inside Keynote. Oh, I have to have these preloaded. Okay.
They have to be on the server.
Well, let's share screen. Let's try that. There we go. Can you see my slides? It says Web3 security. Do you see that?
No.
Yes.
Wait a second.
Now I do.
Yes.
You see that with the Dragon Scale logo on the right?
That's
Yes.
correct.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we've finally gotten here. It took a little bit of setup, but it seems like we're here now. If at any point the slides drop out or something, please someone say something so that I just don't keep rambling into the you know into a blank screen. That wouldn't be good. But super happy to be here. Very excited for all of the wonderful stuff going on here at the conference, Intellect Horizon. My name is Stephen Pimentel. I am the CTO of Dragon Scale Industries. We have lots of resources on our website. In particular, for the whole topic of Web3 security, I'd like to call out our blog, which we've put a tremendous amount of work into having some very good content on there, specifically on this topic of Web3 security. We have a lot of material, probably more than I'll have time to get into, but everything that I'm going to talk about is covered in more depth at blog.dragonscale.ai. All right, so what is the issue here? Well, fraud, theft, and losses to illicit activity are on the rise, with investors losing over $100 billion in the last 5 years. And this trend could result in even greater losses in the near future if it's not addressed properly. Web3's potential systems are at risk due to these scams. So here are the top 5 scams in 2022. We're going to be updating this for 2023 at the end of the year. But just as for the year that went by, here we are showcasing the significant amounts of money lost in these incidents. And these examples really serve as a stark reminder of the need to be vigilant when dealing with Web3 and cryptocurrency projects. So Web3 scams often share common features. Attackers may counterfeit accounts of prominent individuals or projects. They create a sense of urgency to exploit FOMO, fear of missing out, or they use negative or positive pressure tactics to manipulate users into taking actions. So we need to be aware of these features in order to identify potential scams. So phishing is the most common type of Web3 scam, and it involves tricking users into giving up critical information by clicking on malicious links or visiting phishing websites. And it's essential to be aware of phishing tactics and learn how to avoid falling victim to such scams. There are various types of Web3 fraud, including investment scams, fraudulent ICOs or initial coin offerings, pump and dump schemes, giveaway scams, malicious airdrops, fraudulent exchanges, romance scams, and blackmail scams. Knowing and understanding these types of scams will help you stay vigilant and protect yourself from potential threats. So we need to be aware of red flags that signal potential scams, such as unsolicited messages, exaggerated promises, lack of credible documentation, and attempts to induce urgency or FOMO. Recognizing these warning signs will help you stay safe in the Web3 space. By following best practices, you can minimize the risk of falling victim to scams. So you want to conduct thorough research on platforms and tokens, be skeptical of free or easy returns, avoid investment offers from unknown sources, independently verify malware claims. And remember that if an offer seems too good to be true, it likely is. I want to say a little bit more about independently verifying malware claims. One of the very pernicious tactics that scammers will use is to try to tell you that you've already fallen victim to some scam or, malware, virus, something like that. And they say, but we're here to help. All you need to do is click on this link and we'll help you. And by responding to that, you are actually falling prey to the scam that hadn't yet happened, even though they told you that it had. Very, very tricky, but that's the kind of thing that can happen. Okay, we're now going to discuss essential Web3 security practices and concepts, including tokens, public and private keys, wallets, seed phrases, passphrases, and different types of wallets. We'll also look at MetaMask and hardware wallets, general online security measures like two-factor authentication and password hygiene, and the importance of DYOR, do your own research when investing in crypto. Understanding the basic concepts in Web3 security is essential to safeguard your assets and information. So tokens can be fungible, that means identical and divisible units of value, or non-fungible, unique digital assets. And public keys are blockchain addresses, while private keys are like passwords for the public keys. Wallets are software containing private keys, and seed phrases are used to recover wallets in case of loss. So wallets come in various configurations, and understanding the differences between them is crucial for maintaining security. There are three basic distinctions. Hosted, meaning hosted by a web service, versus non-hosted, which means on a device that you own. So hosted wallets are typically managed by web services, while non-hosted wallets are stored on your own devices. Hot means internet connected versus cold, not connected to the internet. So hot wallets are accessible online, while cold wallets are stored offline for added security. And then there's custodial. A service controls the private keys versus non-custodial. You control the private keys. So custodial wallets have service providers managing those keys, like you can think of Coinbase and services like that, while non-custodial wallets give you full control over your keys. A seed phrase consists of 12, 18, or 24 words provided when setting up the wallet, and it's used for wallet recovery. Passphrases are optional sets of characters combined with seed phrases for an additional layer of security. When it comes to Web3 security, the 3 items that you must secure and never share are private keys, seed phrases, and passphrases. Any request for your private key, seed phrase, or passphrase is a security threat. You also need to balance security and resilience. While security aims to protect your private keys from others, resilience ensures you don't lose access to your keys. So striking a balance between these 2 goals in your Web3 activities is really important. MetaMask. MetaMask is a popular non-hosted hot wallet for Ethereum. It supports both a browser extension and a mobile app. When setting up MetaMask, you will be given a seed phrase for wallet recovery. Don't copy or store your seed phrase on your computer or any connected electronic system. You will create a password for your MetaMask instance, and you want to make that strong and unique. Hardware wallets. So hardware wallets are dedicated devices that offer enhanced security for storing crypto assets. Examples include Trezor or Ledger. To ensure the security of your hardware wallet, you want to purchase them directly from the manufacturer's website and consider using a PO box or pickup to avoid exposing your home address. You want to follow the manufacturer's setup instructions, and you can connect your hardware wallet to MetaMask to transfer tokens. Your choice of wallet should depend on the transaction sizes you think you're going to be engaging in and your risk tolerance. So small amounts are amounts that you're willing to expose to the higher risk of loss for the sake of convenience. Medium amounts are ones that you don't wish to expose to risk of loss and for which you're willing to undertake the inconvenience of stronger security. And then high amounts are those for which you're willing to arrange the highest possible security. So consider the following recommendations. Small amounts, you can use hot wallets like a Coinbase account or MetaMask. Medium amounts, set up a non-hosted, cold, non-custodial wallet for added security. And then large amounts, you want to investigate techniques like multi-signature, it's sometimes called multi-sig services for the highest level of security. In addition to Web3 specific security measures, you want to practice general online security by using two-factor authentication, 2FA, with authenticator apps and maintain good password hygiene with strong, unique passwords and password managers. Doing your own research, DYOR, is essential when investing in crypto projects. Assess the potential and risk of a project by using various methods such as fundamental analysis, where you analyze the intrinsic value of an asset or business to determine investment opportunities. Analyze project white papers. You want to read the project's white paper, concept paper, website, and other marketing material to understand the mission, vision, and game plan. And research the numbers. Look into the project's social media and community channel numbers, tokenomics, and other relevant metrics to gauge its popularity and engagement. Find reputable voices. Seek out objective and unbiased information from established and reputable sources in the crypto industry. Pursue crypto literacy. Continuously learn and stay up to date with the latest trends, technologies, and developments in the crypto space. Okay, we'll now discuss more advanced practices for Web3 and what artists and product owners need to know to ensure the safety of their products and their projects. Outsourcing development tasks to unknown developers can be a risky endeavor for your Web3 project. When working with developers you're unfamiliar with, there's a chance that they might introduce malicious elements such as backdoors, time bombs, or siphons into your projects. Backdoors are intentional vulnerabilities that allow unauthorized access, potentially enabling the rogue developer or others to manipulate your project or steal sensitive information. Time bombs are pieces of code designed to execute harmful actions at specific points in time or under certain conditions, causing damage or disruption to your project. Siphons are mechanisms that covertly divert funds or assets to the developers' wallets or other unauthorized recipients. Selecting trustworthy developers is essential for mitigating these risks and ensuring the security and integrity of your Web3 project. So conduct thorough background checks, verify their past work and experience, establish clear communication channels to maintain transparency, and control throughput throughout the development process. By taking these steps, you can significantly reduce the likelihood of falling victim to the potential dangers associated with outsourcing to unknown developers. All right. When selecting developers, consider the following steps. Check their portfolio and experience to ensure that they have the necessary skills. Verify their reputation and references to determine their trustworthiness. Conduct interviews and test their skills to assess their technical proficiency. Look for a cultural fit to ensure they align with your project's values and goals. As a project owner, it's essential to prioritize the security of your project. To achieve this, consider implementing the following strategies. Use multi-sig wallets. Requiring multiple parties to authorize transactions adds an extra layer of security. Implement proper deployment processes. So establish best practices for deploying smart contracts and websites, reducing the risk of vulnerabilities. Follow best practices for smart contract and website development. Adhere to industry standards and best practices to ensure your project remains secure and resilient. By incorporating these security measures, you can significantly enhance the protection of your project and its assets. Multi-sig wallets are vital for enhancing project security, as they necessitate multiple signatures for transactions. To select the appropriate multi-sig wallet solution, consider your project-specific needs and requirements. There are two types of multi-sig wallets, each with differing levels of security and convenience. The first is called N of N. So this type requires all N keys for a transaction, offering maximum security but less convenience. Two, the second kind is N of M. So only a subset of keys is needed, providing a balance between security and convenience. You need to ensure that N is sufficiently high to maintain adequate security. Choosing the right multi-sig wallet type to optimize security and accessibility for your project is really important. So implement a secure development lifestyle, I almost said life cycle for your project, incorporating critical elements such as code review, testing, and continuous integration and deployment. These practices contribute to maintaining the security of your project throughout its evolution, helping to identify and address potential vulnerabilities. Ensure the security of your smart contracts by testing first locally, then on a test net. Have your contract audited by an external party. Upon deployment, verify the contract to provide a public guarantee that the EVM bytecode, assuming you're using Ethereum or an EVM compatible blockchain, the EVM bytecode matches the published source code. Monitor contract usage and behavior after deployment. Ensuring your website's security involves several key practices. So the first is secure hosting. Choose a reputable hosting provider with a strong track record of security, which includes features such as server hardening, firewalls, intrusion detection systems, and backup services. SSL/TLS encryption. Obtain and install an SSL, which stands for Secure Sockets Layer, or TLS, that's Transport Layer Security Certificate, to encrypt data transmitted between your website and visitors. This prevents unauthorized access and ensures data integrity. Regular updates and maintenance. Keep your website's software, plugins, and themes updated to protect against known vulnerabilities. Implement a strong patch management strategy to ensure timely updates. And then the fourth is use content security policy, CSP. Implement a CSP to restrict the sources of executable scripts and content, helping prevent cross-site scripting, sometimes called XSS, and other code injection attacks. Secure user authentication. Okay, employ strong password policies, multi-factor authentication, MFA, and session management to protect users and minimize unauthorized access. Regular security audits. Perform regular vulnerability assessments and penetration testing to identify and address potential weaknesses in your website security. By adopting these practices, you can significantly improve the security of your website and protect it from attacks and vulnerabilities. When selecting libraries for your project, prioritize those with a proven track record and an active development community. This can help minimize vulnerabilities and ensure timely updates. To maintain a software bill of materials, SBOM, document all software components, including their versions, dependencies, and licensing information. This enables you to, one, track the provenance of your components, assuring they come from reliable sources, and two, identify vulnerable or outdated components, allowing you to update or replace them as needed. Three, verify compliance with open source licenses, avoiding legal issues or incompatibilities. Four, facilitate communication between developers and security teams, leading to better coordination and more secure software. By using secure libraries and maintaining a detailed SBOM, you can enhance the overall security and transparency of your project. We'll now discuss how to identify bugs and malicious or rogue code in software and the importance of code review in ensuring software security. Okay, rogue code in software can be introduced through various means, including intentional actions by rogue developers, unintentional dependency issues, bad coding patterns, and copy-paste errors. To mitigate these risks, it is crucial to maintain vigilance during code reviews. Thorough code reviews. Okay, conduct detailed and regular code reviews, ensuring that all team members understand the code's purpose and implementation. Second, use static and dynamic analysis tools. Leverage tools to automatically analyze code for potential security vulnerabilities, coding issues, and adherence to best practices. Three, vet third-party dependencies. Review and assess the security of external libraries and dependencies before integrating them into your project. And 4, establish a secure coding pattern. Implement and enforce a secure coding standard to minimize the chances of introducing bad coding patterns or practices. And 5, encourage a security-minded culture. Foster a security-conscious environment within your development team, emphasizing the importance of security throughout the development lifecycle. 6, conduct regular training. Provide ongoing training and resources to ensure your developers are up to date on the latest security best practices and potential threats. By implementing these strategies, you can significantly reduce the risk of rogue code infiltrating your software and enhance the overall security of your project. To identify and address intentional rogue code, consider the following strategies. You want to be careful of obfuscated or complex code, as it might hide intentional intent, malicious intent. You want to scrutinize unusual functionality, which could indicate backdoors, time bombs, or siphons. You want to monitor code changes and ensure proper authorization and review. You want to implement strict access controls for your code base to prevent unauthorized modifications. You want to perform threat modeling to identify potential risks and vulnerabilities, including rogue code. Encourage collaborative code reviews to increase the likelihood of detecting rogue code. By following these tactics, you can reduce the risk of rogue code and protect your project security and integrity much better. To mitigate unintentional rogue code, adhere to these code review practices. Regularly update dependencies to their latest secure versions. Assess third-party dependencies for potential security vulnerabilities. Encourage adherence to established coding patterns and best practices. Be cautious of copy-pasting code from external sources without thorough examination. Utilize automated tools to detect security issues and coding standard violations. Train your team on secure coding practices and the latest security threats. Implementing these strategies will help you identify and rectify unintentional rogue code, enhancing your project's overall security. So effective code review for software security includes monitoring for suspicious function calls that might introduce vulnerabilities, examining unusual data manipulation that could compromise data integrity, ensuring randomness is generated securely and not easily predictable, evaluating input validation and output sanitization to prevent injection attacks, verifying access control and authentication mechanisms are in place. And by addressing these concerns during code review, you can help maintain a high level of software security and minimize the risk of vulnerabilities. Code audits play a vital role in maintaining software security by identifying and addressing potential vulnerabilities, of verifying adherence to best practices and industry standards, ensuring compliance with legal and regulatory requirements. To ensure a thorough and effective audit process, you need to establish clear audit objectives and scope, employ a team of experienced auditors with specialized knowledge in the technology that you've used, use comprehensive industry checklists and guidelines, and conduct manual reviews to detect complex or context-sensitive vulnerabilities. By following these guidelines and utilizing resources for audit guidance, you can enhance the security of your software and mitigate risks. When planning a code audit, consider the following: internal versus external audit. Weigh the benefits of internal knowledge against an unbiased external perspective. Choosing the right auditor. Ensure they have relevant experience, a strong track record, and the required certifications. Audit scope. Define specific components, features, and dependencies to be examined for a comprehensive review. Timeline. Allocate sufficient time for testing, analysis, and remediation based on product size, complexity, and urgency. Careful planning and execution of a code audit can enhance your project's security and reduce risks. To conduct effective code audits, adopt these best practices. Utilize automated tools. Scan code for common vulnerabilities and issues. Perform manual reviews. Complement the automated scans with human expertise for a more in-depth examination. Involve multiple reviewers. Engage diverse perspectives and skill sets to identify complex or subtle security issues. Following these practices helps to ensure comprehensive code audits and strengthens the security of your project. To improve the effectiveness of your code audit, make use of various resources. Audit checklists. Follow established guidelines to ensure a systematic and thorough approach. Community guides. Leverage the collective knowledge and experience of the development community for the best practices and insights. Expert recommendations. Consult industry experts for advice and guidance tailored to your project's needs. Utilizing these resources helps to enhance the audit process and address potential security issues in your code. Maintaining ongoing security involves regular code review and updates. Periodically examine and update your code to address new vulnerabilities and improve overall security. Staying informed on security trends. Keep up to date with the latest security developments and best practices to proactively address potential security threats. Fostering a security-focused culture. Ensure and encourage a security-first mindset within your team or organization to prioritize security in all aspects of your project. By following these steps, you can help ensure the long-term security of your project. All right, well, that is my content. Thank you very much. We have a QR code here on the right. I just want to also point you to our website. In the upper right, we have iriscollective.xyz for our Iris Collective community. We also have dragonscale.ai. That is our main website where you can find, not only what we're up to, but our blog, which has a lot of great security and other content. It's not just security. We have a lot of content about AI and the application of AI to our products, to the Web3 world. And we have a lot more coming in that regard. We're going to have a big focus on AI and a lot more AI content coming down the pike. And on the left, you can see my LinkedIn if you want to reach out to me. And also our Dragonscale Twitter at Dragonscale_AI. So I hope this has been very, very useful and helpful. And I'm going to stop sharing the screen now so that other folks can also jump in. All right. going to have to jump off because, thank you. I'm going to have to jump off soon because I have a talk coming up, but I do have a few minutes. If we have any questions or comments or some quick conversation would be fine.
I like the practical aspects of the things that we need to be watching out for. I think that's really important. Sometimes we forget the steps that keep us safe. So I think that reminder is pertinent.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes the basics are just really important to get right. And we're in a very exciting space with people doing all kinds of cool technology, with decentralized, many types of decentralized applications, decentralized finance, social, new cryptocurrencies. Of course, the whole world of AI is exploding. How do we apply AI to these things? And sometimes we can get so caught up with the bleeding edge of technology that we fail to pay attention to the basics. I mean, it's no good investing in some great new DeFi project if all your money gets stolen because you got hacked or something. I mean, that's no fun at all. So and a lot of the another thing for people, I just want to reinforce for people is a lot of the basics are not specific to crypto or Web3. There's a whole lot of stuff around strong passwords, two-factor authentication, learning to recognize phishing. Don't click on strange links that people send you. There's just a lot of basic stuff like that was true even before crypto, and it's still true today. But it becomes more important when there's actual money, accessible from an account or something like that.
Yeah, I wanted to say that this is almost like a preempting my talk, but the more things change, the more they remain the same. That's right. So there are a lot of things that we knew already that we should continue to know and to apply. So that's fantastic. I wanted to also, this is a specific question pertaining to your present. You said you needed to have the slides in the repository, or you were able to share them?
No, I was able to share directly. So okay. I can tell you what I'm seeing on my screen. In the lower left-hand corner, there's a box. There's a box with a bunch of controls. Yeah. It says mute, stop cam, settings, present. Right. So I went into present. And then from there was a sub-menu where I was able to select a particular window on my browser. Right. So I just needed to select the window that had my Google Slides in it. And that seemed to work great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that should work.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I'm going to jump off to get ready for my next talk. But after that, I will come back into this link for our follow-up conversation.
Absolutely. All right, so bye for now. See you then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So are you next or I'm next?
I'm not sure. I can do the presentation right now, maybe, if you don't mind.
Could you say again?
So I can do the second presentation if you don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, you can go ahead and then I'll come after you.
Great. Thanks.
All right.
Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's coming up.
Okay, cool. Hello everyone, thanks for coming to the talk. So my name is Hongyang Zhang, and I'm currently an assistant professor at University of Waterloo. And I'm also a faculty member affiliated with a Vector Institute for AI. So today I'm going to talk about ZKD. It's a kind of a new there's a knowledge proof software for deep learning training. So so we will talk about there's a knowledge proof and deep learning. It's a combination of Web3 and AI and machine learning. So our study was motivated by AI regulation on copyright protection. And there are several news recently talking about the AI regulation. So the first news is from the Wall Street Journal, and it was reported that on March this year, ChatGPT was banned in Italy over data privacy concerns because Italian government thinks OpenAI is using Italian users' private data as their training data. And this actually violates the GDPR in Europe. And another news is from North America. So this is from CNN News on January 18, 2023, where it was reported that Getty Images was suing the makers of popular AI art tools, Stable Diffusion, for stealing photos. So Getty Images thinks Stable Diffusion is using artist images as their training data, and it also violates the privacy concern. And another news is from Europe. It's about the European Parliament, where some members they are ready to negotiate the first ever rules for safe and transparent AI. So this is more specifically, this EU AI Act valid on June 14, 2023, where there's an article called "Obligations for General Purpose AI," quoted a detailed summary of the copyright data used for their training will also have to be made publicly available. So from all this news and AI Act, we can see that the AI regulation is very important. So on one hand, we want to regulate the behavior of those AI companies so that they do not use illegal data as a training data of their model. However, AI regulation is also double-sided. So on one hand, we want to make sure we have certain AI regulation, but on the other hand, we cannot say the AI regulation is too restrictive. For example, on the Reuters news on May 25th this year, the OpenAI CEO Sam Altman mentioned that OpenAI may leave the EU if regulations bite. So we can see, this is double-sided. And what we can deliver in this talk is about a method which can resolve this dilemma. So we have two parties. Let's say one party is OpenAI, and let's say we have another party who is a government. So on one hand, our tool allows OpenAI to provide a proof of training logic to the government, meaning that OpenAI can prove that their model does not contain any backdoor or any attack and so on and so forth. And also, our method can allow OpenAI to provide a proof of data membership to the government in the sense that they can, for example, let's say we are given a certain data, and the method can guarantee that this data is not belong to the training data sets of ChatGPT, for example. So this is this is about the AI regulation, but on the other hand, we want to also protect the intelligence property of OpenAI, in the sense that this method can keep the training data sets, OpenAI's training data sets, and the model checkpoints are secrets to OpenAI without releasing this sensitive information to the public or to the government. And our solution to achieve this goal is by a so-called zero-knowledge proof, because this is a Web3 workshop. So I'm pretty sure many of you have heard about the technique in zero-knowledge proof. So in the zero-knowledge proof language, we have two parties. One is a prover. For example, it can be, you can view this as OpenAI. And we also have a verifier. Okay, we can view also this as a government. We also have a given circuit C, let's denote it by the blue notation C here, which can be this is a circuit which is known to the both parties. So for example, let's say for this circuit, we have W1, we have W2, and we have X. They are inputs of this circuit. And suppose this circuit is an arithmetic circuit in the sense that all the operations in this circuit, they are just addition, minus, or multiplication. And after certain operations in this circuit, we get the output. Let's say, let's denote it by the red. So this is 10. So in this circuit, let's say OpenAI has certain secrets, or also known as witness. For example, let's say W1 equal to 4, W2 equal to 1. This is a secret to the OpenAI. OpenAI does not want this information to be released to the public. So this is also known as a witness, denoted by the purple. And also, OpenAI has certain public inputs. Let's say the public inputs may correspond to, let's say, the hyperparameter or certain insensitive information that OpenAI allows the public to be known. So this let's denote it by the green. And in the goal of zero knowledge proof is to see if we plug in W and X into the circuit C and we get the output. And this output Y is indeed calculated from this circuit. So it is not the OpenAI just make up this output. So this is in the ZKP language, and there is a one-on-one correspondence between the ZKP language and the AI language that I want to talk in. I want to discuss in this talk. So here, as I mentioned before, the prover may correspond to those AI companies, for example, like OpenAI, and the verifier may correspond to the government. And the given circuit C I mentioned before correspond to the training procedure, or say the inference procedure of AI, which can be, let's say, forward propagation or backward propagation that people frequently use in the training or inference of the deep neural network. And the secret of witness W may correspond to the private model parameters, private model checkpoints, or say private training data of OpenAI. So this is a secret of OpenAI that OpenAI does not want this information to be released to the public or to the government. And for the public input X, this may correspond to certain, let's say, public data or say public hyperparameters that OpenAI allows others to know. So this is denoted by the group. And finally, the goal is to prove that Y, the output Y, denoted by the red, is indeed calculated from the circuit C by plugging in the witness and X into the circuit C, and we get the output. And in the AI language, this corresponds to we correctly train the model by gradient descent, for example. So that is the correspondence between the zero knowledge proof language and the AI language that I want to discuss in this talk. So let's first look at what applications we can get from this technique. So the first application is in bridging AI and machine learning and Web3. So in the traditional Web2 regime, let's say there are 3 companies, let's say Google or Microsoft or Amazon, they want to participate in a cargo competition. And the way Cargo can evaluate this competition is that Google submits its private model to the Cargo, and Microsoft also submits its private model to the Cargo, and also similarly, Amazon submits its private model to the Cargo, and the Cargo evaluates all the models in the black box in the backend, and then do the ranking so that we can know that finally Cargo published that Google ranked first, Microsoft ranked second, and Amazon ranked third, and so on and so forth. So this is in the Web2 regime. But definitely we can see there is obvious limitation in this method, or say in this platform, because Google need to, in order to participate in this Cargo competition, Google also need to release its model checkpoints. And Microsoft and Amazon also need to do the same thing. And this is the model checkpoint is definitely very, very sensitive to these AI companies, where they don't want to release this checkpoint to the others. And with the help of zero knowledge proof, we can come to the Web3 regime, where Google does not need to submit the model anymore, but instead, Google only need to submit the zero knowledge proof of the model, and similarly for Microsoft and Amazon. And after getting the ZKP of those models by Cargo, Cargo can evaluate all the zero knowledge proof in white box, and then can do the ranking. Google ranked first, Microsoft ranked second, Amazon ranked third, And all this evaluation process are very, very transparent. So this is one of the application or benefits of there's knowledge proof in AI and machine learning. And another application is about the GPT. Right now everybody is talking about large language models such as ChatGPT. And another application is to serve as a GPT ID. So recently, on July, 3 months ago, a bunch of Stanford scientists, I think the Percy Liang's group, they find that ChatGPT is getting stupid, more and more stupid. So basically, they think that OpenAI they secretly replace the latest version of GPT with the older version, while they still claim that they are using the latest version to do the inference. However, the VP products of OpenAI, Peter, stand out, and he also published on Twitter, mentioned that no, we haven't made GPT-4 dumber, and quite the opposite. We just keep it a constant. We always use the latest version. So our tool of this knowledge proof can actually, another application is to serve as a GPT ID. For example, let's say we are given a prompt, where is University of Waterloo, and we input it into the OpenAI's website, and we get the response from a certain black box model. Let's say it's at Waterloo, Canada, and we want to ask what is the model in the question mark. And with the help of this knowledge proof, we can guarantee that the model that we do the inference is actually the GPT-4 model. It's the latest version of GPT, but not the older version of the GPT, such as GPT 3.5. All right, so this is the background and the applications of methods. And right now, let's move on to more technical details. So let's talk about the methodology, how we can combine deep learning with there's a knowledge proof. But before that, we need to have, let's first look at the advantages and the limitations of existing ZKP protocol. So the pros is that, existing ZKP can efficiently prove the arithmetic circuit. So arithmetic circuit, or say arithmetic operation, means that all the operations in these circuits, they are addition, they are minus, or say they are multiplication. And there are many, many operations in deep learning. Actually, they are arithmetic operations. For example, if we encounter multi-layer perceptron layer, and we typically need to do matrix multiplication, and this is a kind of arithmetic operation. And also in the convolutional neural network, we have convolutional operation. And we can do that by fast Fourier transformation. And this is also a kind of arithmetic operation where existing ZKP is super, super good at. And another process that, in terms of proof size, if we look at the size of the knowledge proof, it's also quite small. So it's only log size of the size of the circuit C. So it's very, very, very small. And also in terms of verifying time, for the verifier, it's very, very easy for the verifier to verify there's knowledge proof. So it's another pro is that it's enjoy fast verifying time. But existing ZKP also has certain limitations. Also, for example, it's good at arithmetic operation, but existing ZKP cannot prove non-arithmetic operation directly. However, in deep learning or deep neural networks, there are many non-arithmetic operations. For example, like ReLU or say softmax, this activation function, they are definitely non-arithmetic operations. So existing there's knowledge proof cannot handle these operations directly. Also, it's also unclear how to connect a non-arithmetic operation with arithmetic operation. So we know that in the deep neural network, typically it's, let's say for multi-layer perceptron, this architecture, typically in MLP, we can see that we have a linear layer followed by a ReLU, and then we follow by another linear layer. So in terms of operation, we can see it's a non-arithmetic operation followed by arithmetic operation and followed by, again, another non-arithmetic operation. So, however, in the existing ZKP, it's still unclear how we can connect the non-arithmetic operation with arithmetic operation. So this is the second limitation. And the major limitation is about the proving time. So we all know that in terms of the proof, if we want to create the proof, existing ZKP is quite slow. And here is an example. This is a benchmark provided by Modulus Lab earlier this year in the paper, The Cost of Intelligence Proving Machine Learning Inference with Zero-knowledge Proof. And this is the benchmark provided in that paper, while the x-axis referred to the size of neural network, and the y-axis referred to the proving time. And they compare with 5 different kinds of existing ZKP backend. And we can see if we do the comparison, if we look at the neural network of size 18 million, we can see the fastest existing ZKP backend requires 62 seconds to do the inference of one data on the multi-layer perceptron. However, if we see the inference time, if we just look at the deep learning inference time, it only require 0.03. So we can see compared with 62 seconds, there is a super large gap between these two. And our goal in this talk is try to close the gap to make the zero-knowledge proof pretty efficient and pretty fast for deep learning, And in order to do that, so we need to firstly have a better understanding how we can train a deep learning. And this is the knowledge in deep learning 101. So we all know that in order to train a deep neural network, we have a forward pass followed by a backward pass. And in the forward pass, we are given, firstly, we have the input that's denoted by x. And in order to get the pre-activation of the first layer, we firstly multiply the input x with the weight of the first layer, that's denoted by W1, and we get the pre-activation of the first layer, that's denoted by Z1. And after, so this is just a matrix multiplication operation. So this is existing ZKP is super good at doing this kind of operation. And then after getting the pre-activation of the first layer, we want to transfer to the second layer. And then we encounter a ReLU activation function. So basically, we want to see we get with the pre-activation Z1, we first get its sign, and we also get its absolute value. And then we do the Hardeman products between these two, and we get the after activation denoted by A1. And this is definitely a non-arithmetic operation because we need to extract its sign, we need to get its absolute value, and both of these two operations, they are non-arithmetic operations. And then after getting the A1, we need to, we can do the second layer. We multiply A1 with the weight of the second layer denoted by W2, and we get the output of the second layer that's denoted by Z2. And this is also a arithmetic operation. So arithmetic operation we denoted by the green, and non-arithmetic operation we denoted by the red. And we get to the Z2, and we can compare Z2 with the ground truth label Y, and we can calculate the loss. For simplicity, let's only look at the L2 loss, for example, here. So this is a forward pass, and in order to do the backward pass, we firstly want to get the gradient of the Z2. So by the loss, we do the derivative, and we can see the gradient of Z2 is simply equal to Z2 minus Y. And this is also a kind of arithmetic operation. And similarly, we can get the gradient of W2 and also the gradient of A1, and both of these are arithmetic operation because we only do matrix multiplication here. And in order to get the gradient for Z1, we need to do the backwards through the ReLU activation function. And this requires to get the sign of Z1, and because this is a non-arithmetic operation, so let's denote it by the red. And finally, with the gradient of Z1, after doing a matrix multiplication, we can get the gradients for the weight of the first layer, the W1. So we can see for the deep learning training, so for the forward pass and backward pass, most of the operations, they are arithmetic operation denoted by the solid line, while some operations, they are non-arithmetic operation, especially after when we need to go through the ReLU activation function. That's denoted by the red. So this is also denoted by the dashed line. So here is our solution to try to handle how to provide the proof. There's another proof for deep learning. So firstly, we do the forward pass, and then we do the backward pass, as I mentioned before. And some of these operations, they are arithmetic operations denoted by the solid line, and some of them, they are non-arithmetic operations denoted by the dashed line. And for the solid line, we can just call the existing there's another proof to provide the proof. And for the dashed line, because they are non-arithmetic operation, and typically our intuition is try to use a bit decomposition to reduce the non-arithmetic operation to arithmetic operation. And finally, we provide the proof of a bit decomposition, and that's completes everything. So this is the components of our method ZKD. And in more details, in order to provide the proof for bit decomposition, so with Z, so Z is the pre-activation for each layer. So for that Z, we want to do the decomposition for the Z vector, so we get the sign and its absolute value. However, as I mentioned before, getting the sign and absolute value is a kind of non-arithmetic operation. So existing ZKP cannot be called to directly provide a proof. And the idea here is that we want to further, decompose the absolute value into its bit representation. So this is a bit representation of the Z, where the first column just copy the column of the sign. So 1 correspond to the positive, and 0 correspond to the negative. And for the rest 3 columns, it represents the bit decomposition or bit representation of the absolute value. For example, 3 can be represented by 0, 1, 1, and 2 can be represented by 0, 1, 0, and 5, 1, 0, 1, and 0 can be represented by 0, 0, 0. So we get the bit matrix, and this can exactly represent the Z vector. And in order to provide to prove that this bit decomposition is correct, is indeed the bit decomposition of Z, we only need to prove 2 things. So firstly, we want to prove all elements in this bit matrix, they are within the set of 0 and 1. And this is quite easy to prove, because for each element, we only need to prove that x times 1 minus x is equal to 0. And because this operation, all the operations here, they are the arithmetic operations, so we can also call existing ZKP to provide that proof. And secondly, we want to the other thing we want to prove is that this bit decomposition can exactly recover the original Z vector, and this is also easy to prove because for the first column, we only need to recover its original sign. So by multiply it with 2 minus 1, so that if Z is the element is positive, then it will be plus 1, and if the element is negative, then the value will be negative 1. So this is for the sign, and for the rest columns, we only need to do an inner product between it and another vector, 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2, so that we can recover the absolute value. And after doing a Hadamard product, if we prove that the Hadamard product is equal to the original Z vector, then this completes the proof. And also we can see that for this second step, we can see all the operations here are also arithmetic operation. So we can also call existing ZKP backend to provide a proof. So with bit decomposition, we can reduce the non-arithmetic operation to a arithmetic operation, and then we can call existing ZKP. And also, in order to further speed up everything, we also think about compressing the proof. And the idea here is that we can see for all the layers in the deep neural network, they are independent of each other. So by using the parallelization or say random linear combination, we can compress the proof for the whole neural network to just like the proof for one neural network, for one layer neural network. So this is pretty efficient and fast. So to summarize, in ZKDL, we try to use bit decomposition to reduce a non-arithmetic operation to a arithmetic ZKP protocol. And we also try to use the idea of compression by using parallelization and random linear combination. And this can actually reduce both the proof size and the proof time by the depth of neural network. So therefore, proving, for example, a 1,000 layer neural network is roughly equal to proving a 1 layer neural network. So finally, I want to mention a little bit about the experiments that we did before for this project. So firstly, let's say we only look at what happens, the behavior of our method on the CPU. So we test the proving time and the proof size for 2-layer neural network with a varying weights from 64 to 256 to even as large as 1496, with a varying number of parameters from 8,000 to as large as 33 million. As ZKDL is our method and previous soda, we also compare with the previous soda as a baseline method. So if we look at the largest neural network with batch size as large as 126, ZKDL only require 25 seconds, and the proof size is 17, while the baseline method require more than 1,000 seconds, and the proof size is also larger than that of the ZKDL. So this is only for a 2-layer neural network on CPU. And as I mentioned before, one of the advantage of the ZKDL is that it can compress the proof from a multi-layer. When the neural network is quite deep, we can compress the proof to just like the proof of 1-layer neural network. So we also test the proving time and the proof size for multi-layer neural network on CPU. Here, the first row corresponds to the proof time, and the second row corresponds to the proof size. And x-axis refers to the number of layers, and the y-axis refers to the first row refers to the second, and the second row corresponds to the KB. And we can see here the solid line corresponds to the baseline method by Liu et al. In 2021, and the dashed line corresponds to our method. So because we can compress the proof, so we can see in terms of proof time and proof size, our method just like a constant, because we can always compress the proof for a deep neural network to just as the proof for 1-layer neural network. However, in terms of the for the baseline method, we can see their method actually increase. Proof time and proof size actually increase with the increase of the number of layers. So this is on the CPU, but we also want to see what happened for the GPU. So we also work hard to write the CUDA code to implement the ZKDL on the CUDA. And this is, we also release everything in this QR code. And this is open source software with several features. For example, the first feature is that it was implemented on CUDA, and this is the first ZKML implementation with CUDA support. And also it's quite fast. It can achieve more than 1,000 to 10,000 times speed up on the standard ZK machine learning benchmark. And it's also, we open source everything on GitHub, so the whole pipeline is open source. And we also welcome others to contribute to this open source software. And also, most importantly, this software is easy to use because, in deep learning, everybody is using some platforms such as PyTorch. And our implementation of ZKDL here is quite compatible with PyTorch and support customer backends. So we provide a QR code here, and if you are interested, please feel free to try our code here. So here is the result of the software on the modular benchmark that I mentioned before. So previously I mentioned that the previously best known results, the fastest algorithm requires 62 seconds to provide the zero knowledge proof. While here, after using the ZKD software, we can reduce this 62 seconds to only 0.03 seconds per data. And this actually achieve 2,000 times speed up compared with the baseline method. So in conclusion, we can do zero knowledge proof for a 10 million parameter neural network. Let's say the batch size is 24 in just 1 second per batch update. While if we look at existing ZKP or say general purpose ZKP, it's required roughly 1 hour. And for the next step, we want to move towards efficient verifiable deep learning by looking at other other operations beyond the ReLU. For example, we want to try to figure out how to do the ZKP for softmax operation. And we are going to release the software for there's knowledge proof of GPT-2 roughly at the end of this year. So please stay tuned for our new updates in the software. So finally, this is our project members. So Hao Chengsun is my second-year PhD student at University of Waterloo. And he is also the leader of this project. He's not only doing the implementation on CUDA, but also he designed the whole methodology. And Jackie Bai is the first-year master student at University of Waterloo, and he is responsible for the CUDA implementation of the method. And Jason Lee is a final-year undergraduate student at Waterloo, who is responsible for the CUDA implementation as well. So that's all I want to mention today. And this is my email. And if you have any question, please feel free to contact me. And we also provide the QR code for the software ZKD that I mentioned before. And we also write a paper and put it already on the archive. And you can, if you are interested in more details about our methodology, you can check the paper. So for both the QR code and the paper, you can check these two QR codes. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much. I have one question. Oh, you're gone?
Sure.
Okay, I needed to ask you a question about the first portion.
The first portion?
The first part where you spoke about copyrighted materials. So yes, you mentioned how sometimes copyrighted material like pictures and so on may be used for training, but they belong to someone else. What if they are? What if this is uploaded by a user? Like how do platforms like OpenAI deal with that?
Yeah, I think right now they have no proof because it's hard to say. Like there's no, they do not use there's not a proof at this moment, so they cannot prove to the public. They do not use certain data.
Oh, okay.
I think right now they have no method to prove they are all their training data they are legal. So that's also the motivation why we want to study this problem here.
Okay.
Yeah, I also in ICML this year earlier on June in Hawaii, I also talk this methodology with staff at OpenAI, and I think they are interested in this stuff.
Okay.
Thanks for the question.
That's all right. I need to ask you a question about sharing my slides. Did you do yours from Because I'm trying this, I'm getting an error message.
Yeah, let me stop sharing.
Okay.
You click present and share screen, and you have it's allow you to choose different windows.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I am going to try this and see if it will work. Let me see. Right. Otherwise, I'll go to. Okay, it's giving me a processing thing on my screen. So, and okay, does that show on your side?
Not yet. Wait a second.
Okay.
Yes, I can see it clearly.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
I was getting worried. But I'll wait. I'll wait. It's possible that there may be other questions. I wanted to make sure that I'm ready. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this final presentation on Web 3.0 security workshop. My name is Alpha Nyandoro. I'm an associate professor of engineering and computer science at Regent University. I am going to talk about training the next generation of cyber professionals in the age of chatbots. I think this talk is quite apt, actually, following the presentation by my two colleagues who've just gone before me. We didn't coordinate this, but it seems the progression from the practical side of some of the things that people need to look out for to the research that's going on in AI, and now back to the training of the next generation of cyber experts is quite appropriate as we look at the world that we live in now. So this is a quick outline of my presentation. I'll start off by a reminder, and then we'll talk about some of the efforts at Regent University that we are engaged in our training for the next generation of cyber professionals. Then I'll talk a little bit about large learning models and their impact on how we do education. There's been some research that's been going on regarding the evaluation of these large learning models, and I'll refer to one large study that was done. And along the way, I'll also talk a little bit about some of the other studies that are cited there and some which are not cited there that speak on the evaluation of these large learning models in terms of their efficacy to address specific tasks, be they in the natural language space or specialized spaces like engineering, mathematics, computer science, all the way to ethics as well. And then there are a lot of specific evaluations that have been done, including in software engineering, which is an area that we are interested in, which might look a little bit different depending on one's vantage point. It might seem that if we are talking about the next generation of cyber professionals, then software engineering might be tangential. But I will try and make the case that indeed this is quite core to what we do when we are training the next generation of cyber professionals. Then I have a few points about reality checks. That is, this is the reality that we live in right now, and what are some of the interventions that we need to think of as we navigate this terrain. I will briefly talk about some of the projects that we have on the horizon regarding the efforts of the engineering and computer science department at Regent University, and then some concluding remarks. So this is the reminder that I wanted to begin with, that the more things change, the more they remain the same. For some who are a little older than me or about my age or just slightly younger, you may have worked with some mainframes where we had a centralized computer system where people dial in and do their work, and people would actually go and main these computer systems with computer operators working there. And then into the 80s and 90s, there was a shift towards personal computers, meaning that mainframes took a backstage where specialized segments of the market, such as banks, insurance companies, and those that are involved in travel and so on, were the ones that were still using mainframes, whereas the rest were moving to PCs. And then later on, people realized that, oh, our data, we cannot really do much with our PCs, so we need our servers. And then we can still use our mainframes, our servers within clients. And then the advent of mobile devices, tablets, smartphones, and so on, changed things around a little bit, with the limitation of storage on our devices and so on. So there was again a shift to store and even to process our data away from the devices. So if we look at this closely, it seems we have moved away from mainframes, but actually went back again to a faraway computer that's in the cloud that is very similar to the mainframe paradigm. By this, I'm trying to emphasize the fact that there are cycles in computing, and these cycles are visible if we squint hard enough. And we'll see these cycles, and we can learn from these cycles as we try to navigate our terrain in a better way. This is instructive because some of the controls that we need to put in place, or some of the dangers that have affected us in the past, perhaps we didn't come out as good in the past because we're not prepared. This time around, we should do better because we have the advantage of hindsight. Now, we can only have this hindsight if we are intentional about looking into the history. That's why I titled this slide, "The More Things Change, the more they remain the same," or the more things change, the more we can learn from them and apply the lessons in these new circumstances. So over here at Regent University, we have a cybersecurity program that is currently that we are currently seeking ABET accreditation for. So the accreditation body for engineering and technology is the premier accreditation body for cybersecurity, computer science, and engineering. And we are seeking this because there is guidance on some of the things that we need to cover when we are training the next generation of cyber professionals. Within the computing within the computing arena, where you have IT, computer science, cybersecurity, and so on, that's where we have a common general criteria that we need to address. So this general criteria is common for all of these areas that I mentioned. But for cybersecurity, we also need to look at cross-cutting concepts of confidentiality, integrity, and availability, risk, adversarial thinking, and system thinking. Then we also need to look at these big ideas around the protection of data, the development of secure software. And when we consider secure software, we have to look at the component connections, the systems themselves. And beyond that, there is a real effort to look at the organizational aspect of the systems that are developed, as well as the impact on society at large. This is important, again, because for the next generation of cyber professionals, this is what industry and academia have come up with as the critical areas that need to be touched on as we train the next generation of cyber professionals. And this ties in very strongly with Web 3.0 because these graduates of the future or graduates of today that are going to be professionals of the future, they need to be able to work well in this space and to succeed in protecting the assets of individuals, of organizations, of governments right across the board. So they need to take care of these controls that have to be put in place. So as I mentioned, one of the courses that we teach at Regent University is an introduction to programming course. I call it ICSAT 214. And in this course, we use Python as our example programming language. There are obviously a lot of other courses that we teach, but I went to this one because it's foundational, where students begin to learn about algorithmic thinking and applying computer logic to solutions that they formulate. They look at structured design of their programs. They build small programs, they test them, they debug them, and they have first-hand experience with the object-oriented approach to software development. Now, as students begin to work in this space, sometimes it's not clear to them why they may want to spend time learning a programming language when they could be focusing on perhaps something that has cyber in it. But we make the case that for the next generation of cyber professionals, there's a critical need to understand programs, as we'll demonstrate in a little bit as we look at some of the areas that they will be involved in. So as we look at the challenges of the AIs that are constantly learning, getting all these large data sets that are available, there's a need for the next generation of cyber professionals to be proficient in the basic skills that a cyber professional should have, even though it might appear like this could be subcontracted to an AI. And we'll look at this later on and highlight some of the dangers associated with perhaps the naive approach to computing in general, where someone who is not as experienced or not as well versed with the area might think that perhaps I don't need to learn these things because an AI may be able to take care of the challenges that I might face in the workplace. So I make the case in this slide about why our students have to learn programming. Clearly, for them to be efficient and effective in the use of software tools that they use in their day-to-day operations when they graduate and join the workplace, they will need to have a good understanding of software. Now, depending on the segment of cybersecurity that students might take, some might go into incident response where they are dealing in the heat of the moment with tools that are already configured and ready to fire away. They will still need to understand how these tools are achieving specific tasks because they have an understanding of the underlying principles of how programs work. If they go into security engineering and even into incident response, they may also be responsible for writing scripts for mitigation or scripts for threat hunting, or they may be writing scripts that are used for configuration of systems and devices. A lot of problems that we have in the cyberspace stem from human error. This is a well understood and non-controversial aspect of cybersecurity and computing in general, that the human element is one of the weak links in the chain. So if our cybersecurity professionals are trained in understanding software and having the ability to identify mistakes, identify errors, then we can reduce the likelihood of breaches on our systems, which is squarely in the domain of cybersecurity. Successful cybersecurity professionals will also be able to analyze malware, and malware is software. For these professionals to be effective in their work, they will need to understand programming and how programs work. And Python happens to be one of those accessible programs which is used by both white hat hackers and black hat hackers alike. So an understanding of this and the application of programming principles that they learn from Python can be generalized to other programming languages as well, which is a great objective that we have as educators in this space. Down the road, students begin to develop logic. Some who are adventurous already begin to develop their own software systems as they look at concepts like cryptography, and they build up systems for toy systems for encrypting, say, their emails using a Python wrapper. All of this is a way of developing the next generation of cyber security experts. It's also possible for some of them to end up developing cybersecurity tools that may be offensive or defensive, which means that our work is not limited to just defense. Obviously, it might also mean penetration testing and other efforts, and all of this sometimes stems from an elementary course like this ISIS 214, which is an introduction to programming that we offer. So it's not a secret at this point that almost everyone, I believe, who is listening in today has had some experience with large learning models, the most popular one of which is ChatGPT, which comes from the OpenAI. Microsoft is also involved, but it's by no means the only one. We also have Bard from Google, and Annie from Baidu, and others that are specialized, and others that are also general purpose. These large learning models have revolutionized what we can do. It's a progression. If we look back to Web 1.0, we had kind of a one-way communication system where information was available on the web, and we would go and query it and use it for whatever ends we had in mind. Then Web 2.0, we're able to send in information and also receive responses with search engines and so on. With Web 3.0, there is a lot more autonomy from the users to create content, but there's also a lot of intelligence involved where you can have human-like conversations with an AI to solve problems that are ranging from natural language processing all the way to specialized areas like software engineering or medicine. So these large language models have really revolutionized how students learn, because they provide a new platform, a new tool that students can go to in order to refine their ideas, or to test their ideas, or to find out factual and sometimes not so factual information about what they will be working on. So this is a space that is new to academia and to industry as well. So we need that to be intentional about how we train the next generation of cyber professionals to navigate this space and to take advantage of what it offers. A lot of researchers have gone in and tried these models, sometimes haphazardly and sometimes in a systematic way. This work is still ongoing. the Chat GPT release from late 2022 and additional versions after that, and the arms race with everyone else releasing their own, has made this space to be very dynamic. So there's a need to evaluate these large language models to see what they are capable of. There are limitations, areas where they excel, and also some of the dangers that might come from their use. I've taken the liberty of providing some references, like this reference that I'm sharing here in the superscript. This one is a very comprehensive evaluation of large language models that is available on arXiv. I thought I would mention that so that anyone who's interested can check it out later to see some of their evolving findings, because their work is ongoing. Briefly, large language models are computational models with the ability to understand. I put understanding in double quotes because there's a case to be made that computers are not yet aware of what they are doing, although they are able to provide us with an artificial view of what they are doing, like the AI aspect of it, that they have an artificial intelligence that they are demonstrating. And they can actually generate human language in conversations, and they can answer questions as if you were speaking to a friend. As the name suggests, they were initially optimized for language processing, but they've now been generalized to diverse tasks, including specialized domains like medicine, software engineering, and so on. So if we go back to the original effort around AI, when people started to investigate artificial intelligence, the idea was to have general intelligence where you could achieve you could demonstrate intelligence that a human would ordinarily show. So over time, there were efforts that went into expert systems that were very specialized in a specific domain to address a specific problem, such as perhaps medical diagnosis. And with this, with the advent of large language models, that narrowing down of the specific area has been relaxed, and people are beginning to think that it's possible for us to again aspire or approximate artificial general intelligence, the AGI that you see in here. And in our interactions with these models, there's a demonstration of cognitive abstraction abilities, such as the ability to think and to reason, that were not present in expert systems. These systems are able to digest text and to suggest even the motivations behind key players in a story, for example. That's something that's new. That's why when these evaluations are happening, people are trying to understand this a little bit more. And for us in higher education, this is definitely something that we are keeping an eye on in order to learn from it and get to see how we can adjust our curriculum and how we can adjust the way we do things in order to make sure that we take advantage, but also recognize the dangers that come from the use of these technologies. So as mentioned, the main area of large language models has been natural language processing naturally. And in the evaluations, that was one of the focus areas. And then there was also the focus area of the robustness of these models. By robustness, they mean that if a large language model encounters new data or new parameters that it has not seen before, how is it able to handle this? Then there's also some effort that has gone into the ethics and biases of these systems. For example, it's quite possible, depending on the training data, for the large language models to exhibit objectionable biases that normal and friendly society would not want to have in its midst. Then there's the trustworthiness of the models themselves, like how much can you trust the recommendations or even the answers that they give. Are they aware? Do they give a weight to the answers, to say this answer may be 50 or 60% accurate? Is that something that is built in there already? Then, of course, there's the social sciences, which I would think also covers everything, because it's about the human nature. Our focus, is the boarding shows, is on the natural language processing and the natural science and engineering. Naturally, that's the bias that we have. But I tie these together because when students interact with large learning models like ChatGPT, they ordinarily present their questions or their requests using natural language. And some of the efforts that have gone into this research and evaluation shows that the fact that the large learning models, the large language models, are optimized to handle natural language, they do very well, even if the questions that are presented are technical questions from software engineering or mathematics and so on. But of course, there are limitations, as we'll see later. So in mathematics, it's been shown that large language models are really proficient in arithmetic. The previous presenter mentioned this. But in other areas that are a little bit higher level, even arithmetic that involves division, exponentiation, and trig and log functions, the accuracy and the proficiency is still developing. When it comes to really high level, challenging, complex mathematical problems, it's been demonstrated through the research. Again, I show the some of the papers that are addressing this as references that you find at the end of the presentation, and also references therein. They show that when it comes to challenging and complex problems, the ability of large language models is below par, like below the average of experts in the discipline. And when it comes to research in mathematics, and I emphasize mathematics here. Okay, so just looking at a reminder here. All right. These complex problems that arise, the large learning models are not really able to handle them. So when you look at the accuracy, this is important. When it comes to just recognition of the problem, about 83%. When it comes to comprehension, about 62%. Application down to 27%. And when you look at the highest cognitive and cognitive levels and of complexity, then the accuracy goes down to about 10%. Quickly here, I'll talk about code generation. It so happens that when it comes to developing code, large language models are really good at it, sometimes achieving 90% or better, which speaks to the training of the next generation of cyber experts, in the sense that when they are training in the classroom or in the lab, they can easily access code without doing very much. And that's where some of the dangers come from. So I was mentioning how some of the work has gone into this space, software development, quality assurance, and so on. Those are the software engineering, aspects that are covered and that have been tested. Very quickly here, because my time is a little bit short, when it comes to common software engineering tasks, ChatGPT was tested, and again, I provide a reference there. When it comes to name suggestion or code summarization, this is more like one of the programming 101 questions where we try to make sure that students are able to document their code. So when it comes to the selection of module names, for example, one could just say my function is f, but maybe you want to say what does the function do? Maybe it's the factorial function. So when ChatGPT was presented with code that had names that were not very informative, it did really well, 90% accuracy. When it came to log summarization, that is going through all the logs that are generated when testing code and so on, and summarizing what was going on, it did 100% accuracy, meaning that it was as good and sometimes surpassed actual experts. I will skip over and talk about detection of vulnerability in software, such as, for example, the building in of backdoors that might result in denial of service attacks and so on. The success rate was about 40%. So this speaks to some of the problems that we have, that when we are trying to develop the next generation of cyber experts, we need to make sure that they are aware of these limitations and that they cannot just subcontract all of their work to an AI. They need to be in the loop in order to look at some of the things that AI might not be able to do, and also looking at the dangers when it comes to the answers that they are getting. So this is a really important part of what we do in higher education. So as a result, we need to make sure that when it comes to providing assessment opportunities, there have to be unique experiences that have not been trained on. This is not easy to do, but if we are intentional about this, we can provide something almost like the nonce that comes in cryptography, where you provide a one-time unique obfuscation of your data to prevent someone from kind of predicting what the result is going to be. We also need to make sure that we encourage our students to use the tools, but be aware of their limitations. So, for example, the idea of providing almost like exam-like conditions, even for a non-assessment exercise. When students are in class, you shut down all access to the internet so that students can grapple with the question at hand and have an honest assessment of their skill set. I wanted to just mention very quickly another reality check that when it comes to your data, Web 3.0 promises control of your data, but it's also possible to easily share proprietary or intellectual property with these AIs when people are making searches and so on. So there has to be a clear-cut guidance within organizations to make sure that all players, be they management or staff or faculty, that they know of the dangers of sharing or querying the AI to get answers. At Regent, we are working in this space. We do have a lab space that where we use virtual servers to emulate the real world. We are also working on industrial control systems. This is at the initial stage where we are trying to take advantage of the equipment that we have So I have a picture here of some of the equipment that we have in our lab that we plan on testing for software vulnerabilities. This is unique to Regent in the sense that a lot of other academic institutions in the space and out there may not have this kind of equipment. So our students are excited. We already have a few that are already connected to this, that are looking to explore how they can protect industrial equipment. This is an important aspect of cybersecurity in the sense that a lot of research that goes in here is on models, whereas we could actually have an emulation on a real platform. So exciting times here at Regent. Very quickly, these are the conclusions. We need to be adaptable as educators, and we have to look at large learning models as both challenges and opportunities. And we are up to the task here at Regent University, and we hope that we have more to present, perhaps at a conference like this or other fora. So once again, my name is Alpha Nyandoro, Associate Professor of Computer Science and Engineering at Regent University. A quick search to find me, and I look forward to any questions or interactions that might arise from this presentation. Thank you so much. I will stop my share. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to take them. This is the bibliography. Hi, welcome back.
I have one question for you. So
yes.
You mentioned several evaluations of large language model. What do you think is the major challenge in large language model? The biggest challenge in large language model?
I think from the evaluations that I saw, the largest or the biggest challenge is getting people to know the limitations. Especially newer people that are using this, or people that are not coming from technology, because it's a black box. So it's unlike you know, you do research in this space, so you know what's actually going on under the hood. Lots of people don't, and that is one of the biggest challenges. So for example, I know of people who put anything in there. But you know, if you go back to the data I was referring to, and even the end user licenses that are available, you notice that they say, okay, your data will keep it for 3, 6 months, 36 months, right? And you are able to come in there and make some changes, assuming you made the request while you are logged in. So this was from BAD, if I remember, the one that I looked at their end user agreement. Now, what does that mean for data that is proprietary? It's very, very, it's a murky waters. So having people to understand the limitations and the dangers, that's probably the largest challenge that I noticed.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. How was your talk?
It was great.
Oh,
My talk was wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Very exciting.
Okay, guys, you're actually the last people joining and talking at Intellect Horizon, and thank you that we could listen to you, and we are all going now to sleep. 24 hours, they're gone. Was a blast, and we are very thankful that you shared your insights with us. Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.